is Sara Tourani. I'm a clinical neuropsychologist at Sireen Psychiatric Hospital, and Sara Fatma, our head of department at Sireen Psychiatric Hospital as well. We're here to present to you the importance of mental health in a woman's workforce and a working environment. Okay, so I know there's a lot of words here, but I won't be looking at it, just a reference point. Okay, so I'm going to ask all of you mainly. How many here are married with children? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many here are just married? Oh, sorry, that goes hand in hand. Okay, the rest, I'm assuming single women, correct? So as married women with children, do you believe that you have what they call a double workload? Yes? Yes? Okay, so if someone could, in the audience doesn't mind talking to me for a bit, I'll pick you because you're right in front of me. When you said yes, why did you say yes to the question?
Because besides of doing the work, my professional duties here, I'm also overlooking what's happening with my kids sometimes.
Exactly.
And then I have to split my time between here and then what's happening and then following up when I go home. So yes.
Exactly. So essentially you're working 2 jobs in one, right? Which I think is crazy, but it happens a lot. And not just for married women with children. For women in general, the idea of working has a lot of sometimes stigmas, burdens, a lot of double standards, a lot of issues that we face both at home and at work that we find ourselves trying to regulate, but we can't. So today's presentation is all about educating all of you that the problems you face are valid, they matter, and offer some tips and tricks on how to make it better. Okay? So let's start here. So the first thing we're going to focus on is the work-life balance. So as you said, you have children at home, which makes things much harder for you to balance both. So one of the most main things that we have as women, we have something called the burden complex. Does everyone know what that is? No? So do you ever feel like sometimes you have an over sense of guilt? Or you have, yes, so burden is guilt, essentially. They come hand in hand, always, yeah. Do you mind if I choose you? Why did you say yes to the guilt?
Because I'm away of my children. I feel that I'm spending a lot of time out of home. And the time when I reach home, it's already by 6. Because I live very far away from here.
Okay.
So, and then by time I need to sit with them, check their school requirements.
Yeah.
I have high school, I have intermediate, and I have to see my home responsibilities, their dinner, their tomorrow's lunch.
Yeah.
You know, the regular routine things.
Okay, yeah, so
I have a housemate, but still I can't depend 100%.
it's the mom guilt, they call it, right? So the guilt that you feel carries over at work sometimes. So that's one of the feelings that women mainly feel more than what I say men would feel. So men and women, very different when it comes to our emotional regulation. Men have an ability sometimes to compartmentalize and to put aside some priorities or obligations that women sometimes don't have the option to do that. So as a mother, you don't have the option to forget about your kids. I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna work, I'll go home and I'll see them. It's the complete opposite, you carry it forward during work. Another would be is carrying the complex of hierarchy at work. So I'm going to ask, I'll ask me, the woman here, how many of you do you feel like you are not as valued as you should be as women in the workplace? Yes, no, you feel like you're equally valued. Was that always the case before though? No. So we have actually gone with a lot of improvements towards in the future to be able to be working women as equal to men in the workplace, but that was never the case before. But sadly, some women still face it, just because, for example, I'm picking out random. You are someone in a very high position. As a woman, that's great, you have found your equal, but that does not mean people below you are able to be that equal in other places. So, going back to the work-life balance, how about your social life as women? Do you feel like you have enough time? No? No. Unanimous no.
My kids have more social life than me.
Of course, because essentially you work 2 jobs. That's why, right? So that's what we call the mother complex, the mother burden as well when it comes to work. So I'm going to pick you. Did you say no to the social life as well?
Yeah.
Yeah? Can you explain why?
I have requirements and responsibilities. So I don't believe that my friends how it used to be. When I was back in school, I remember I used to be so excited for Thursdays.
Yeah.
Because we used to all go out, but not anymore.
Now it's just,
Yeah, everyone has their own life now.
and it's like a restart for the next working week, right? So it's not like I get to go enjoy, it's like I'm gonna go home and just shut off everything to be able to get through the next week. What about purpose? Do you feel like sometimes your work overcompensates your purpose in life? Like is the grunt of it? It's all your time, sometimes you think about work? Yes.
It's the purpose.
Okay, yes, sorry.
I just wonder because you just mentioned, married, even single women.
Yes, yes.
Have lots to do commitment. And here the key is how to manage your time. Life requires sometimes as a post holder.
Yes.
Sometimes I have to work more than 8 hours. Sometimes leave 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Here I need to manage. Plus I have other social commitment, friends. Family. I'm away from my family as well. We suffer and actually we miss them. But life requires as well to compensate.
Yes.
Okay, to live in good.
Exactly, yes.
Yes, yeah.
So that was going to be the next slide actually, not just focusing on married women with kids. The whole presentation is women in general, both single and married, but you both, so for example, as you said, you are unmarried, correct? But that does not mean you not share the same burden as a married woman. You will not be expected to work more. They're like, you don't have any responsibilities at home. They're expecting you to work more. You are able to work more. These expectations, these burdens that you also face are not similar, but they share the same basis. So yeah, so I completely validate what you said there. Okay, so next we have the double burden, which is what you were talking about, work and family. So let's forget about being married, let's forget about being single. Do you feel like since you started working, the burden of being able to be the way that you are with your family has been the same level, or has it been less? Less. Can I ask why? Why do you feel like since being able to work as a woman, or also as a male, that you are unable to fulfill your duties as a family member? Why is that less?
Because most of our time will be at work, and we will have extra hours at work. Like as I am a single lady, I spend most of my time at work, and when I see the clock, oh, it's 8 or 9. Spending more, like half of my day at work. Then I remember that, oh, I didn't see my parents. I didn't spend my time with my parents. So I have this kind of guilt feeling that I didn't spend my time with them.
Exactly. So that guilt is exactly what this is trying to tell you, the double burden. Is that you're fulfilling your duty as a working woman, as you should, in this day and age. We're all equal when it comes to the workforce, but at the same time, you are sacrificing some things that give you the joy of what keeps life going, right? So would we all say is work life? No, right? Work shouldn't be life, but work is becoming life. It is 8 hours of your day spent in the workforce, either doing something that you love or something that you don't love doing. You have to do it, you fulfill it. By the time you're done with that, when your life actually starts, should be outside of work. But you can't sometimes because you're exhausted, you're tired, you're unable to regulate either what's going on at home with yourself. As women, as you know, we share different emotional levels, different hormones than men do. We deal with a lot of things that not a lot of men can relate to, and something that we have to deal with ourselves. So yes, excellent. Next is, I'm going to talk a bit now about the impact of poor mental health on performance, okay? As an example of poor mental health, what would be an example for your type of work? Deteriorating mental health, what's an example of that? You. Like, it could be like being tired, or like things that when you get too overwhelmed, what do you feel?
I just get overstimulated sometimes.
Excellent.
I get really frustrated.
Yeah.
But I have to be like composed because I'm at work. I need to be professional. I need
Yeah.
to keep my morals and my ethics.
Yeah.
But sometimes when something doesn't go the way it should be, like it can be very frustrating.
Excellent, exactly. So overstimulated and frustrated. Next.
I can tell you many things as a trainer, pilots and cabin crew. It's part of our training to give them fatigue management, as well as stress management, and is in our manual mentally fit to fly, emotionally and physically. Mental state absolutely has very good impact actually on our performance. If I'm not well
maintained on that, I'm not going to perform well, especially our job so dynamic, even on ground or in flight. And this will become balanced, and we have lots to do. Our stress management, yoga, relaxation, and the company give us, even when we are down route, nice hotels, gym, and we have to manage we can't just eliminate, job or family. We need to have always balance in between.
Yes.
And everybody is unique. You perceive it differently and you understand it differently.
Excellent, exactly. Thank you. Yes?
Sorry, one demographic that you didn't cover is, and there are quite a lot here at the Gulf area, and the group are divorced women who are single mums, and then their commitment to work is then elevated because they are trying to, and that whole guilt thing of committing to a career and feeling that it's so important for your children that you're successful and able to provide them with everything, but then have no financial or emotional support outside as
Excellent.
well. So with the mental health or poor mental health, I think for me personally, it manifests itself not in my work because of how essential it is for me to compose myself and maintain a professional line, that it then happens the moment you leave work. From the second you are in the safety of your own car, the horrible journey in the traffic, and then trying to multitask what you can do while you're driving to eliminate or to maximize the time you have for your family when you get where you need.
And to separate work from home also, which is important. So what you said is actually slide 6 when I was going to talk about it. It's fine, it's like a group discussion at this point. So as you said, you're 100% right. It's not just single or married, it's women. Whatever you face in life, we go through things differently than men do. So you're 100% right. Women who have been divorced or single moms who are dealing with either an ex-husband, children who are at home constantly with her, juggling work, being the sole provider, all of these things are a toll on women. As I said, we manage emotions differently. We sometimes have this, what we call a perfectionist tendency, is that I could say that you're doing a great job. It could be like you're going home, you're going to order pizza for your kids. I think that's fine. But
you might feel guilty and say it's not healthy.
Exactly. That's a double burden. That's a perfectionist tendency. Now that's not just at home, it's at work as well. If you feel like you are doing a good job, women have a tendency more to feel like, no, I have to do an excellent job. I have to do more. I have to make sure people see that I am doing great. So thank you for bringing up that point. Excellent. Okay, so just to go over these 3 points before I go to the next slide. So the impact would be A, mental health challenges like stress, anxiety, overstimulation, frustration, and burnout, which impacts your productivity at work anyway. Unaddressed mental health issues that can lead to absenteeism. So we don't have this in Bahrain, I think, or even the GCC, like a mental health day. We can't take a sick day because we feel either depressed, we feel anxious. We have to come into work and we have to keep it going. Like for example, mothers who have postpartum depression, they get maternity leave, yes, but postpartum lasts for 2 years sometimes, or even more. You can't just be like, yeah, I'm going to take a mental health day. You have to either take a sick day, I think, or a medical sick day. So those are the things that could lead to high absenteeism if they are not tackled within the workforce. So the next few slides will actually focus more on what the company itself should be giving more towards women in the workforce to help them transition through their hard times or transition through difficult times like divorce, childbirth, whatever it may be. It should be tackled throughout all. The third but not last is negative impact of poor mental health extends to interpersonal relationships. How many of you get annoyed at work and it carries on at home? Like you lash out at people without knowing? Yeah, everyone's smiling, so I think yes. Yeah. So imagine my job, like dealing with other people's problems all day, and my mom tries talking to me at home. She's like 1 second away, maybe she's like, stop, khalas. I don't want to hear you, I want to go to my room, I want to lock my door. But of course we can't do that because they are not at fault. They're not meant to carry our burden because this is our job and we're meant to know how to regulate this, even though we do sometimes have it more difficult than others. Okay? So I'm going to skip this because we just talked about it. Now I want to talk about recognizing signs of stress within the workforce that you are facing. So the first is physical, the next is emotional. So for me, emotional is much harder to pinpoint than physical because I'm sure we're all, oh, I'm tired. That's easy to pinpoint. The first is chronic fatigue. What is the difference between chronic fatigue and normal fatigue? It is literally the feeling that you're going to die. Like you feel like one more second of me walking, I'm gonna fall on the floor and no one can pick me up. That's not just being tired, that's being exhausted, like fatigued. The next is sleep disturbances. So it's not just not being able to sleep, it's waking up when you're sleeping. So restless sleep. You could wake up 4 times a night, not know why, not be able to go back to sleep. And those itself affect your productivity at work. Because you all know if you don't sleep well, sleep for us psychologists, we know is one of the most important factors to have for a good mental health. If I'm hearing as a psychologist your sleep is getting interrupted, I'll immediately know you're reaching a point of either burnout, overstimulation, or overwhelming nature. Okay? And then we have headaches and muscle tension. I think everyone knows what that is. Migraines, tension headaches are the worst. And digestive issues. So I don't know if you heard that anxiety lives in the stomach, we say. So if you're anxious at work, you might not eat, you might overeat, you might binge eat, you might either lead to an eating disorder. So noticing how, or IBS as well, stress. Stress affects your IBS. So when you know that you're flaring up in here, it could also be because of something in here, not just you're eating bad food. The next is emotional signs, irritability and mood swings. As I said, women do face more mood swings than men, and that's just complete biological. As hormones, we do face that more, either it's a certain time, or it's after childbirth, like I said, or going through a divorce, or dealing with kids, because like I said, mothers deal things differently than fathers. They have different priorities, different responsibilities, are just as important, 100%, but like I said, we regulate things a bit more differently there. Feelings of anxiety and overwhelm, already spoke about that. Lack of motivation or enthusiasm. And then finally, feelings of helplessness or hopelessness. So before I move forward, from A, B, C, and D, which one do you guys feel like affects your productivity at work the most? Yeah, hold on. Which one? A is irritability and mood swings. B is feelings of anxiety. C is lack of motivation or enthusiasm. D is feelings of helplessness. Which one affects productivity the most? B and C? C? B and C? B and C. Everyone's agreeing? Trick question, all of them. They all affect productivity, okay, not just one. But the most, honestly, I do agree with you, B and C is the most, because if you don't have motivation or enthusiasm for the job that you were striving for, of course you're not going to want to do it. You're going to be absent more, you're going to submit assignments late, you're going to not want to interact with your peers as much, which will affect your productivity and your work ethic as a whole. Next, we have the impact of mental health on performance. We spoke about it now on the first slide. We have, I think the one thing that I just want to focus on now is this lowering at creativity and problem-solving skills. So I know it sounds simple, but it's actually a big part of anyone working. We want to be able to work to our best of our abilities and be able to provide the best service, either it's customer service, pilots, flight attendants, psychologists. I want to be the best that I can be and strive for more. If my mental health is being affected, then I will obviously not want to strive for greatness. So that goes back to our perfectionist tendency that I was talking about. So these are the last 2 slides that we have. So before I focus on that, I'm going to talk a bit more about the perfectionist tendency. So we all agree, we all have that, right? As women, we have that more than men. Men do have that as well. I'm not saying they don't, but they have it in a different complex than us. So what areas do you feel like you want to be perfect in? Is it work, life, or both? Combination, right? Is that rational? No. Is that even doable? No, right? You can try. Don't try. I always say don't strive for perfection. Strive for contentness. Be content as either a single mother, as a single woman, as a married person, or a married woman with kids. You have to be content with what you provide. Don't just be. You cannot be perfect. And that's an issue that I face with a lot of my female patients at work. They come to me saying, I want to do better. And I always ask them why. Like, why do you want to be perfect?
I believe type A personality suffers
yes.
from perfection.
The hyper-organization, hyper-focus. I agree, but I think type A itself needs therapy. I'm sorry. Like, you guys cannot go through life like that, because you will never find this, what we call inner peace. You'll never be able to be content at work. So I could come into, say I'm part of Gulf Air. I'm working with you guys, but I do okay, you know, I get my paycheck, I get along with all my colleagues, I submit my assignments on time, but I'm not employee of the month, let's say. For me, I think that's content, because I get to go home and have a clearer mind than someone who is striving for something that might be very difficult to achieve. So It's not just a work-life balance. For me, it's a prioritization of what matters most to you. If family means more to me, then I'm definitely going to prioritize that over work. But that doesn't mean my work will fall down. It means that it will be leveled off. Like, I know my boss is here, but I'm going to be honest as well and say I prioritize my family. I prioritize my own mental health and my own life, because life is not work. But work gives me so much joy. So I have the best of both worlds, but I will still undercompensate with one and prioritize one over the other. Okay? Now, the last two things is how to reduce our stress levels. So these are going to sound so boring and so like we know that already, but it is important. Regular physical activity, not gym. Don't go work out. Don't go to a Barry's class. Go for yoga. Like put like a put like a meditation thing on in the background and stretch. For me, stretching as a psychologist works more than just running constantly on a treadmill. Good for your health, but sometimes just a simple yoga with nice tranquil music really helps your mental health. Next, we have mindfulness techniques. So that's something a psychologist would possibly teach you. It's called DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. It's called living in the present, not living in the past or the future. So perfectionist, I want to do better. You're focusing too much on the future. But if you focus on the present and find the joys and greatness of what you have now, that's more than enough, in my opinion. So if anyone wants to learn more, take a DBT class. And then taking breaks and slowing time for self-care. Slow down. Like, that's, for me, the best thing. There's no rush. There's, like, you know what women say, there's a biological clock and you want to run to get it? Who cares? As long as you're happy with where you are. There's so many options these days, and you shouldn't just rush for something that isn't there right now. If it comes, it comes. As they say in sleep. If it comes, khalas, sleep it. You got it. If not, don't run after it. Enjoy what you have now. And finally, setting realistic goals and expectations. I think I already spoke about that enough, so everyone knows what that means, right? Okay, and embracing positive results. So for me, this is my favorite one because celebrate the small wins. Okay, so for example, at work, I could go in and I find my coffee and my milk in the same place I left it. That's a win. I celebrate it. I feel happy about it. It could be a patient coming up to me and saying, thank you so much. That's a win. I'm happy about it. Submitting your assignments on time. That's a win. Being able to clock out 2 minutes before the deadline. That's a win. So when you celebrate the small things, you get through the bad days even easier, because you understand that you're able to kind of see, I'm doing good, I'm content. I don't have to be perfect for me to be happy about myself.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming. 2 seconds, I think we all did this. Yes, last one is for the companies, the people that are your bosses. I would say a recommendation is providing a safe environment for your employees, where, especially for women, where they're able to speak up when they are feeling stressed, when they're overwhelmed by either personal issues or issues they're facing at work, the stigmas, like I said, the double standards, the workload that does not fit well with you. There has to be a safe environment, hearing them out, a listening ear. Those are all the steps that I would recommend. As if I were ever to be in a company with so much power, I would implement that. Having someone on site is dealing with all your problems, so you don't have to deal with them at home or with yourself. Finally, to conclude, mental health is a crucial component for women's well-being and overall performance at work. If you're not okay with yourself, you won't be okay at work. You won't be okay to do anything in life. So take your mental health seriously. Sorry. So easily distracted. You have to identify your stress, identify your triggers, identify that you are getting to the point of being overwhelmed. Do not reach the level of burnout. Burnout sometimes is very hard to get out of. Overwhelm, I can deal with a psychologist. Burnout, I'm like, yeah, you're in it for like 3 months with me. Let's work through it. Take yourself seriously. Don't push aside your issues just because you feel like they don't matter. They do matter. They're valid. And when you deal with them now, it will actually be reflected way more better. I think that's the word. Way more better later on at work and with yourself and at home and with your family. And I think that's it. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you.
ده اللي احنا بنتكلم عليه يا جماعه، ان ازاي اعمل البالانس. عمليه التوازن مهمه جدا في العمل، ازاي اعمل التوازن في ضغوط العمل وحياتي في البيت، او حياتي انا حتى لو كنت سنجل او عندي اولاد او كنت منفصله او في زوج وضغط الزوج طبعا الزوج ازاي اتاخرتي في العمل، طب ما سويتيش كذا، طب اللي ابنك تعبان، ابنك مسوي، ابنك مش عارفه عمل مشكله عشان انت مش واخده بالك منه. جانب مهم من حياتنا ان احنا نعمل توازن، ان انا لازم حياتي يبقى لها جانب خاص مهم جدا، ولو ساعة كل يوم، ساعة قبل نومك، نص ساعة قبل نومك لازم. لو ما صفتيش ذهنك كل يوم نص ساعة اعرفي انك انت مش هتقدري تكملي. دي اول حاجة. ثانيا مهم جدا مهم جدا السقف العالي نبطل منه. مشكلتنا احنا كمجتمع عربي امانة السقف العالي، في اخونا، في ابونا، في امنا، في زوج، في الاولاد، في رئيسنا في العمل، في صديقتنا، في لا، السقف العالي ده مع رب العالمين فقط. لو انت حطيتي كده او كلنا حطينا كده السقف العالي هو رب العالمين والباقي من بعد رب العالمين على ذاتك، خلاص انتهينا. ثانيا مش لازم ابقى 100% في العمل و100% اكون زوجه و100% اكون مهتمه بنفسي و100% اكون مهتمه بالعمل. مش هينفع، مش هينفع، تلاقي نفسك منهاره. لكن وزعي المهام بتاعتك، وزعيها او وزع حضرتك المهام. ثانيا مهم جدا انا ضحيت عشانكم، انا ضحيت عشانكم. اوكي، كلمه ضحيت عشانكم دي مشكله قوي برضو. المقوله المعتاده بتاعتنا انا ضحيت، هو ما طلبش منك انك تضحي، يعني ده مش عتاب، ما ينفعش انا اضحي، ولكن اعلم باب المسؤوليه. انا كأم اهميه العمل بالنسبه لي ايه؟ جانب مادي بس؟ لا. جانب الناس بالذاتي؟ لا، ما انا ثابته ذاتي من وانا صغيره، تمام؟ ان اشيل نفسي وما احتاجش لزوجي يوم ما ينفصل عني او لا برضه. جانبك انك تعرفي مجتمع خارجي، لو انت قاعده جوه البيت مش هتعرفيه، خاصه في الزمن اللي احنا فيه. يعني ازاي اتعامل مع اولادي، ازاي يبقى في كنترول، ازاي هيكون في وعي، ازاي احملهم مسؤوليات حاجات معينه، ترتيب الحياه. ما انا عشان بشتغل في بعض المهام اولادي اعتادوا ان يتحملوا فيها المسؤوليات، فده جانب ايجابي ولا سلبي يا جماعه؟ طيب انا عشان احب العمل وتقل ضغوطي عن العمل لازم من الجانب ده ان ابص على الجانب الايجابي. انا كأب، عشان ما ننساش الرجال يقولوا كل حاجه للستات، بس انا كأب فايده العمل بتاعي بتعرض لضغوط، كلنا نتفق ان اي عمل بنتعرض ليه لضغوط نفسيه. وخلقنا الانسان في كبد، ده قرآن كريم بيقول كده. بس الضغوط النفسيه دي بحاول انقل الجانب الايجابي لاولادي في البيت، مش جانب سلبي بقى جايب الضغوط انفجر بيهم في البيت، انا كذا واتحملت عشانكم كذا وبعمل كذا وبعمل كذا. لا، ان انت لازم تتحمل المسؤوليه، والحياه كلها مش سهله مش سلسه، هتتعرض لكذا وخبرات كذا، وازاي تتعامل مع الموقف. انت بتعطي خبرات لاولادك، مع زوجتك بتتناقش معها. الحوار ده مهم جدا يا جماعه، ازاي تعلموا اولادكم ان الحياه مش سهله، وازاي في نفس الوقت يعدوا المواقف. لكن انا لو خليت ابني كانه عباره عن غلاف وقافله عليه بالازاز، نو تاتش نو تاتش نو تاتش، في اي لحظه تنمر في الكلاس بتاعه بيقع، ينهار. طيب على مستوى الضغوط النفسيه لينا احنا كعمل سواء رجال او النساء، اكتر حاجه بنصاب بها حاجه اسمها ايه؟ الاضطرابات النفسي جسميه. الاضطرابات النفسي جسميه، الام في الرقبه، عايزه ارجع، الام في المعده، زغلله، خمول، مش قادره انام، اضطرابات في ضربات القلب، اضطرابات في السكر، مشاكل ما تعرفيش تعملي فحوصات كلها يقول لك انت طبيعيه مفيش حاجه. بس ده كله ناتج عن ايه؟ الاسترس والقلق اللي انت متعايشه فيه. انا ابني سخن، انا لو انا جنبه دلوقتي ما كانش حصل كذا. اصل انا دلوقتي انا سبت للخدامه، يا ترى الخدامه سوت فيه ايه؟ طب اكيد اهملت فيه، اكيد اكل حاجه غلط، اكيد 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 اكيد. تمام، حاضر، اوكي. فكلمه اكيد اكيد بتسبب حاجه اسمها ايه؟ الفكره تتقلب لتوتر وقلق. بعد كده بندخل في جلد الذات. انا قصرت اتجاه ابني او بنتي، انا سبب المشكله، انا كذا كذا. لا، طب هل هي اللي قاعده في ست البيت ابنها ما بيتعبش، بيمرض ولا لا؟ مرض، كله بيمرض، كله مرض منتشر. فلازم نبقى في توازن وفي وعي ان لا، عادي جدا ابني ممكن يتعب، ممكن تحصل مشكله لان ده وارد، لكن ازاي ادير المشكله هو ده الاساس. وازاي اكون هاديه عشان اديرها بطريقه صحيحه، وازاي اطلع من الاسترس. وهاكد تاني زي ما اكدت الدكتوره ساره، اهم حاجه فكره ان انا مش لازم 100% العمل بتاعي، اكرس حياتي للعمل تماما، ولازم اكون الطب، ولازم هدي على نفسك شويه من الضغط، ووزعيها صح في بيتك والعمل، بحيث تقللي من الضغط النفسي اللي عليكي ومن لوم الذات. اصلا النهارده ما سويتش كذا، والمدير هيسوي كذا، ومش عارفه ايه وايه 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 وايه, وإيه. او انا عشان انا مطالبه ان انا اخلص كذا كذا. بيجي اوقات، كلنا بيبقى فيها اوقات اكسترا، بيبقى فيه احيانا امرجنسي، فكلنا ممكن نقعد بال11 ساعه، بس مش معناها انه ده طول السنه، طول الاسبوع، طول الشهر. او انا كده هيبقى في عندي تأنيب ضمير ان انا سبت الاولاد 11 او 12 ساعه في اليوم. لا، ما انا ممكن اعوضهم بطريقه صحيحه، بالتواصل. ولما ارد على اولادي، حاضر حبيبي انا دلوقتي مشغول، بس مش باسلوب بارد يا جماعه، لانه هو مش هو اللي جبرك انك تشتغلي. احنا من باب امور معينه في حياتنا بننظمها، عشان كده بنشتغل. بس هو ملهوش ذنب، ما جاش للدنيا عشان نقعد نضرب فيه. ده هياخد موقف منك كأم كده، هياخد منك ستريس. بالعكس، لازم نحسسه ان انا اشتغلت النهارده، واقعد احكي له اليوم بجانب ايجابي، والجانب التاني يتعلم منه خبرات ازاي يعدي من المواقف الصعبه. تمام، واحنا مع بعض، وماما بيحصل كذا معاها. اسلوب بسيط يا جماعه، بحيث ان اولادنا في النهايه يشعروا انه ماما ربنا يخليها، او بابا ربنا يخليه تعب عشاننا، او تحمل حاجات عشاننا، ويبقى لا احنا لازم اذاكر عشان كذا، لازم يبقى سلوكياتي مظبوطه في المدرسه او في الجامعه او بره او مع الناس، عشان الاب والام سلوكياتهم بيتعبوا في الشغل، بيتعبوا كذا. عمليه التوازن دي مهمه جدا في التربيه، في كيفيه اداره ضغوط العمل في حياتنا. طيب لو انا سنجل، اوكي، حياتي لازم اقسمها ازاي؟ مين سنجل؟
يعني احنا نحكي عربي؟
لا، السنجل. طيب انت بتقسمي السنجل حياتك ازاي؟ وجانب ترفيهي ليكي، جانب ازاي استوعب حياتي انا. يعني قدر من، عليكم السلام ورحمه الله وبركاته، قدر من الاستمتاع. يمكن جانب، يمكن السنجل بيبقى فيه جزء شويه اقل في المسؤوليه، ولكن انا لازم استمتع واعطي لنفسي اكسبيرينس، خبرات اكتر، سواء ان انا امارس رياضه او كذا او كذا أو حاجات كتير. في البيت انا بس بسوي ايه في البيت؟ بعمل تايم ايه في يعني قد يكون في العمل ضغط، بس العلاقات بين الزملاء بتقلل الاسترس. صاحبتي بتسمع وصديقتي بتسمع مني، ففي نوع من الفضفضه. ده اهم حاجه في الاضطرابات النفسيه، او الواحد لو عنده ضغوط نفسيه انه هو يبدا يفضي شويه. لازم يا جماعه زي الكوب بالظبط، لو انت مليت الكوب بزياده هيحصل ايه؟ لازم نعمل ايه؟ سيب. هو الانسان كده، طاقة ساعة، الساعة دي لو انتوا ما فضيتيش منها كل شوية جزء، طاقة على طاقة على طاقة، هتلاقي نفسك انفجرتي، ما بتتحمليش غصب عنك، ما انت ما عاملاش تفريغ. بس في النهاية برضو هقول اختيار مين اتكلم معاه ده مهم جدا. يعني مين اللي هينفع اتكلم معاه ويعطيني النصيحة الصحيحة، مين اللي هيسمعني بالقلب والعقل، الاتنين، يعني الاتنين يمشوا على توازن. مين اللي عندها الحكمة والبصيرة، ده مهم جدا في الحياة. طيب لو انا عندي ستريس او جانب جيناتيك في العيلة، بعض الامور ممكن يبقى انا عندي انكزايتي ناتج عن وراثة من اي حد من الفم سواء الاب او الام، مش عيب ان احنا نخبط، مش عيب ان احنا نتعالج. المشكلة في احنا كمجتمع عربي فكرة المعالج النفسي او الطبيب النفسي خلينا على جنب شوية، عيب ده بتوع المجانين. حتى لو شفناهم بره ناخد على الجنب التاني، نشوف اي دكتور نسلم عليه، الا الطبيب النفسي احنا بناخد جنب، ممنوع ان احنا نسلم على مرضانا. لكن الافضل ايه؟ ان انا لو عندي مشكلة ابداها من الاول. خلوا بالكم يا جماعة، لو انا عندي قلق او توتر شديد، وخاصة لو كان في جانب جيناتيك وراثي، لازم يتم التدخل السريع فيه، عشان بعد كده بحمي منها اسرتي الكامله. ما انا لو ما عالجتش نفسي مش هقدر ادي اولادي او اعطي حتى نفسي. ما انت لو ما عطيتيش نفسك مش هتعرفي تدي اي حد تاني. قولي لي كده، لو انت مش قادره تحلي القلق اللي عندك والتوتر، بيحصل لك اضطرابات نوم كل يوم، اضطرابات نوم كل يوم بيحصل لك اضطرابات نوم، هتعالجيها ازاي؟ بنادول نايت؟ خلاص خلص مفعول بنادول نايت، هنعمل ايه؟ لانك انت ما عالجتيش الاساس، انت عالجت الفرع. لما تعالج المشكله من جذورها امورها تبقى تمام. جانب مهم تاني ما ننساهوش وهو الجانب الديني. الجانب الديني من الحاجات المهمه جدا في حياه الانسان يا جماعه، لا نغفل عنه ابدا. الجانب الديني بيسبب راحه نفسيه، اطمئنينه. يعني لما تقري قرآن أو تصلي، لو هنرجع في الأساليب الاسترخاء والأساليب اللي احنا بنتكلم فيها في الطب النفسي كلها والسايكولوجيست، هي أساس الدين الإسلامي. أنت اركعي، صلي ركعتين بالليل، اسمعي قرآن، اسمعي شيء يهديكي، تلاقي نفسك تمام. ودايما نختار الناس اللي هي معتدلة في الدين، يعني اللي هي ما تحسسناش ان احنا لما بنسمع شيخ هندخل جهنم. لا، في ناس كده ما شاء الله عليها هاديه، تحسس ان في امل والحياه جميله وفي كفاح عادي والحياه بسيطه خالص وهتعدي المراحل كلها. تلاقي نفسك في توازن نفسي، توازن يخلي الجسم في ارتياح، في استرخاء، فتقدر تنامي وانت مرتاح. ده جانب مهم. جانب الترفيه مهم جدا برضه في حياتنا يا جماعه. يعني في جانب ديني، في جانب رياضي، في جانب عمل، في جانب انك انت يبقى ترفيه، الشيء اللي انت محبب ليكي. كل واحد وكل واحده ليه حاجه بيحبها، اللي بيحب الرياضه، اللي بيحب يتمشى، اللي يحب يعمل شوبينج، اللي تحب تكلم صديقتها او اختها. اهم حاجه يكون جانب ايجابي. يعني واحنا بالليل واحنا جايين هننام، خلاص الساعه اللي احنا قررنا ان احنا نعمل فيها جانب ايجابي لنفسنا، يبقى جانب ايجابي بالفعل. مش اسمع مشاكل 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 مشاكل، انا خلاص كده طار النوم من عليا. لا، عمليه التوازن مهمه جدا. عمليه ان انا لو عندي مشكله فعلا خلال اسبوع كامل ما عرفتش احلها، خبط على المتخصصين يحلوها لي، لكن اعادي كده في النهاية هيفقدني العمل، هيفقدني العلاقة مع أهل بيتي، هيفقدني العلاقة مع أصدقائي، هيفقد كل شيء. هتحسي إنك أنت ضعيفة، مش قادرة تعملي حاجة، فقدتي يعني أمورك كلها مش قادرة تتحكمي فيها. فالتدخل السريع في الحالة النفسية بيريح كل واحد. ثانيا بيبعد عن حاجة اسمها نوبات هلع، أتوقع إن الناس كتيرة تسمعها. نوبات الهلع طول الوقت تحسي ضربات قلبك سريعه، انت مش عارفه ليه. تروحي مستشفى الملك حمد او الBDF او مش عارفه فين، تعملي تخطيط قلب طبيعي، ما في شيء. اضطرابات معده تمام مفيش حاجه. في الاخر الدكتور بيقول لك ايه؟ روحي لحد نفسي. انت كده تمام يا بنتي، روحي لحد نفسي. طب انا اتجنب، اصل نوبات الهلع دي يا جماعه ما بتجيش مره واحده، مفيش حاجه اسمها بتيجي، مفيش حاجه. اضطراب عندنا في الطب النفسي بيجي مره واحده. الاضطراب النفسي بيجي على مراحل، بتبدا من حاجه بسيطه لغايه ما يوصل للاضطراب بتاعنا. طب انا احل الحاجه البسيطه ليه؟ طب خلاص ان شاء الله بكره اخد اشرب مش عارفه بابونجي ومش عارفه ايه، اريح اعصابي، طب انام لي شويه في البيت، طب مش عارفه ايه زاناكس تمام. ما اتحلتش المشكله. طب صاحبتي بصي دي الحبايه دي هتهديكي قوي، طب تمام، ما بتهديش. انت ما عالجتيش المشكله من جذورها. عالج المشكله دايما من جذورها، هترتاحي انك ما توصليش للحاله الاخيره اللي انا بتكلم فيها. ودايما زي ما بقول اهميه التدخل المبكر في اي حاله من التوتر او القلق او الخوف او الاكتئاب او الافكار السيئه او تأنيب الضمير، هيريح كل بني ادم فينا، هيبقى في عمليه توازن ويقدر يكمل الحياه سواء في العمل في البيت مع نفسك. لانك انت لو ما اهتمتيش بنفسك او حضرتك ما اهتمتش بنفسك في الاول مش هتقدر تعطي، تيجي في النص وتقف، مش قادر، يحصل تاتش قفلت خلاص البطاريه فضيت وخلاص بقى شوفوا لكم صرفه فيا. طب ليه احنا نخلص بطاريتها؟ خليها لازم دايما مشحونه شويه، نتدخل نخبط لو احنا محتاجين حاجه، وان شاء الله نكون اسعدناكم ويعني ما اثر معكم. ميرسي، شكرا، يعطيكم الصحه والعافيه.